One sunny day, a dog was walking through a quiet village. He was very happy because he found a big, tasty bone near a butcher's shop. The butcher had dropped it by accident. The dog picked up the bone and ran away quickly. This bone is all mine, the dog thought, feeling proud and excited. He decided to find a quiet place where he could enjoy his treat without anyone bothering him. He walked and walked, looking for the perfect spot.
Soon, the dog reached a small bridge that crossed over a clear river. He stopped for a moment and looked around. This place looks peaceful, he thought. I can eat my bone here. But before he sat down, something caught his attention. He looked into the water and saw something surprising. He saw another dog holding a bone, just like his. Is that another dog with a bone? He wondered. That bone looks even bigger and tastier than mine.
The dog didn't realize that the other dog was just his reflection in the water. The river was so clear that it showed his image perfectly. But the dog thought it was real. I want that bone too, he said to himself. If I have two bones, I will be the happiest dog in the world. The dog became very excited. He forgot about the bone he already had. His mind was now only focused on getting the other bone.
The dog barked loudly at the reflection, thinking he could scare the other dog. But as he barked, the reflection barked back at him. Why won't he leave? The dog thought. Doesn't he know that I want his bone? The dog became impatient. He decided to act quickly. I will open my mouth and grab the other bone, he said. The dog leaned closer to the water and opened his mouth wide, ready to take the other bone.
As soon as the dog opened his mouth, the bone he was holding fell into the river. It made a small splash and sank to the bottom. The dog was shocked. What just happened? Well, he thought. He looked into the water again, but the reflection was gone. Where is the other dog? He wondered. And where is my bone? The dog realized that he had lost his bone because of his greed. Now he had nothing at all.
The dog felt very sad and hungry. He sat by the river, thinking about what had happened. I had a good bone, he said to himself, but I wasn't happy with what I had. I wanted more, and now I have nothing. The dog learned an important lesson that day. It's not good to be greedy, he thought. I should have been happy with the bone I had instead of trying to take more.
After a while, the dog stood up and decided to walk back to the village. Maybe I can find another bone, he thought. As he walked, he felt wiser and more careful. He knew that greed could make him lose everything. Next time, I will appreciate what I have, the dog promised himself. The dog reached the butcher's shop again, but this time there were no bones lying around. He realized he would have to wait.
While waiting, the dog saw other animals in the village. Some chickens were pecking at the ground, and a cat was enjoying a small fish. The dog noticed that they all seemed happy with what they had. They are not greedy, the dog thought. They enjoy their food without trying to take from others. The dog felt a little embarrassed about what he had done earlier. He decided to follow their example and be more thankful in the future.
The next day, the dog returned to the river. He wanted to see if he could find the bone he had dropped. He looked into the water, but it was too deep, and the bone was gone. It's okay, the dog said to himself. This is my lesson to remember. Greed will only make me lose what I already have. The dog walked away from the river, feeling a little sad, but also a little smarter.
The dog started telling other animals in the village about his mistake. I tried to take a bone from another dog, he said, but it wasn't real. It was just my reflection in the water. When I opened my mouth, I lost my own bone. The animals listened to his story and nodded. They thought it was a good lesson about not being greedy. Thank you for sharing your story, said a rabbit. We will remember it too.
The dog's story began to spread around the village. The chickens, the cat, the rabbit, and even the birds told others about it. Soon every animal knew about the tick and his bone. They started reminding each other, don't be greedy or you might lose what you have. The dog felt happy that his mistake was helping others. If my story can teach someone, then it wasn't all bad, he thought. He felt proud of sharing his lesson.
One evening, the dog sat by the river again. He looked into the water, but this time he didn't see his reflection as another dog. He just saw himself. I have changed, the dog thought. I am not the same as before. I understand now that it's better to be thankful for what you have. The dog felt peaceful as he watched the sunset. He decided to always remember this moment and the lesson it had taught him.
As the days went by, the dog became known as the wisest animal in the village. Other animals came to him for advice. One day, a young fox asked, "How can we avoid being greedy like you were?" The dog replied, "Focus on what you have and be thankful. Don't always look for more. If you appreciate what you already have, you will be happier." The fox nodded and thanked the dog for his wise words.
The dog also learned to share with others. Whenever he found a bone, he didn't keep it all for himself. He gave pieces to the cats, the rabbits, and even the chickens. The animals were surprised by his kindness. "You are very generous," they said. "Thank you for sharing with us." The dog felt happy because sharing made him feel closer to his friends. "It feels good to give," he thought. "It's better than being greedy."
The story of the dog and the bone became a favorite tale among the animals. Parents told it to their young ones, teaching them the importance of being thankful and not greedy. Even the butcher heard about the dog's story and smiled. "That dog has become very wise," he said. "Maybe I'll give him a bone next time as a reward for his kindness." The dog's life changed because of the lesson he learned from his mistake.
The dog's story didn't just stay in the village. Travelers passing by heard it and shared it in other places. Soon, animals in nearby towns were also talking about the dog and his lesson. They admired how he had learned from his mistake and changed for the better. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong," said a wise old owl. This dog is a good example for all of us. We should all learn to be grateful.
One day, the dog met a young puppy who looked sad. "What's wrong?" the dog asked. The puppy replied, "I want a big bone like the one you had, but I can't find one." The dog smiled and said, "Don't worry, little one. You will find something in time. But remember, it's not about how big the bone is. It's about enjoying what you have and being happy with it." The puppy felt better after hearing this.
The dog's life became simpler and happier. He didn't spend his time looking for the biggest or best things anymore. Instead, he enjoyed small moments, like resting under a tree or playing with the other animals. "Life is better this way," he thought. "When you stop chasing after more and start appreciating what you already have, you feel truly happy." The dog's peaceful attitude inspired many animals in the village to do the same.
As years passed, the dog grew older, but he remained wise and kind. One day, a bird came to him and asked, "Do you ever feel sad about losing your bone that day?" The dog smiled and said, "No, I don't. Losing that bone taught me the most important lesson of my life. It made me who I am today. I wouldn't trade that lesson for anything." The bird nodded, understanding the dog's words.
The story of the dog and the bone teaches us all a valuable lesson. It reminds us not to be greedy and to be thankful for what we already have. It shows us that mistakes can help us grow and become better. Like the dog, we can learn to appreciate the simple joys in life and share what we have with others. By doing so, we can find true happiness and inspire those around us to do the same.